Hello, welcome, and sorry. Happy Friday, folks. Cheers. The Guinness has been poured and the Guinness will be drank. It is Friday for another Maple Bitcoin live stream. I'm Jor, joined by my good buddies Rajat Forrest, and we are your three favorite Canadian Bitcoiners. For the most part, we've had a little bit of controversy lately, but that's okay. That's what things are all about here. So, fellas, we got this one titled Bitcoin is Getting More Scarce Every Day. We're going to be talking about a variety of topics today. And we would just like to throw out a few reminders there before we get into the show. Number one, if you have any questions, put them in caps. We'll try to answer them. If you have any questions that you want addressed for sure, you can either send a zap over on Zapstream or you can send a super chat. Those are pretty much your guaranteed ways for us to answer your question or your topic that you'd like to discuss. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're not already subscribed to the Maple Bitcoin channel. We would appreciate that. And I had one more thing to say, but
community and like.
Community and like. I had it in there. Rajat's kind of under the weather today, so we're going to make him talk as much as possible today. But he's here, and that's what matters. So, yes, we're going to be doing the happy hour for the Maple Bitcoin School community in about an hour and 25 minutes from now. So, boys, I want to kick things off here today with a video that I came across. Let me bring it up here. It's kind of interesting. I don't know who this guy is, but he looks like a pretty smart fella. And the reason why this video kind of caught my eyes because it's a mainstream talk show. I'll maybe get some more information after the video, but you can tell with the host here that he was kind of caught off guard by this guy right here recommending Bitcoin, but he's talking about the scarcity of Bitcoin. And I think this is something that's very hard for the average person to really comprehend because it is so unique. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. So we're going to start with this video and then we'll discuss.
He looks a bit like Guy Swan.
Money is that now?
He does, with a beard.
And that or something else which becomes the only resource we cannot fake. So those things are very important research topics.
So you're investing in Bitcoin, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because
it's the only scarce resource. Nothing else has scarcity. Everything else, if price goes up, will make more. I can make as much gold as you want given a proper price point. You cannot make more Bitcoin.
Some people say Bitcoin is just this thing on a computer that we all agreed was valuable.
We are a thing on a computer. Remember?
Okay, so I mean, not investment advice, but investment advice.
It's hilarious how that's one of those things where they tell you it's not, but you know it is immediately. Your call is important to us. That means your call is of zero importance. And investment is like that.
Yeah, when they say no investment advice, it's definitely investment advice, but it's not investment advice. Okay, so you're bullish on Bitcoin because it can't be messed with.
It is the only thing which we know how much there is in the universe. So gold, there could be an asteroid made out of pure gold heading towards us, devaluing it. Well, also killing all of us. But Bitcoin, I know exactly the numbers. And even the 21 million is an upper limit. How many are lost? Passwords forgotten. I don't know what Satoshi is doing with his million. It's getting scarcer every day, while more and more people are trying to accumulate it.
Some people worry that it could be hacked with a supercomputer.
A quantum computer can break that algorithm. There is strategies for switching to quantum-resistant cryptography for that. And quantum computers are still kind of weak.
Do you think there's any changes to my life that I should make following this conversation? Is there anything that I should do differently the minute I walk out of this door?
I assume you already invest in Bitcoin heavily?
Yes, I'm an investor in Bitcoin.
This is financial advice.
That's funny. That's a good clip.
Bitcoin heavily. Invest in Bitcoin heavily. Pretty interesting, eh? What are you guys' thoughts after watching this? I didn't send you this video kind of on purpose because I wanted to get your reactions to it, but what do you think?
I think what he said makes sense. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Forrest.
No. You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think what he said makes sense, where if the price of houses goes up too much, we're going to have more developers, right? More people who want to make a profit. And you can literally print more houses, right? But you can't do that with Bitcoin. You can find ways to make more houses. There's going to be better technology to make more houses. But today people are saving in houses, right? And that's kind of the only reason for that is because they expect that houses won't be built so fast.
Yeah. I think that goes to this idea of scarcity, which is what we titled our video off of, and what he's talking about, right? It's kind of funny, the concept and the story of gold comes up when you talk about scarcity, and oftentimes Bitcoiners have to point at like what happens if there's an asteroid with a bunch of gold, and it's such sort of like a far off story that it's like the normal person is just going to be like, okay, what the hell is this person even talking about? Like, this is so ridiculous. But I talked to somebody the other day, and they were just like, they were saying, oh, scientists just figured out how to make gold, and it turns out like it's radioactive and it has this crazy half-life and all this other stuff, and it's crazy expensive. But just the fact that you can, and just the fact that there is gold all over the universe, and if you believe the universe is infinite or ever expanding or all these other theories, right, then there really is nothing else with a real finite scarcity. And it's we have to go to these sort of fantastical stories because it's really difficult to understand how truly scarce Bitcoin is. There's nothing else like it. So you have to compare it to things and then play out these scenarios that are possible and that show that there really isn't anything else with this absolute scarcity that Bitcoin has. It's such a key important thing, and it's very difficult to like fully understand. It's easy to understand at surface level, but it's really hard to understand the significance of that, I think.
Yeah. Great. That's a great way to put it. And I the thing that I noticed about what he talked about there is he basically said that that's an upper limit. I think that's what people miss. That 21 million, it's not like there's going to be 21 million Bitcoin floating around or 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis floating around. Like, that's the upper limit. So whatever ownership you have in that network, it can only go up from there. I know we spent some time talking about this last week on the show, but I feel like it's just so important to really understand that whatever ownership you have today, because this is the upper limit, the maximum that will ever exist. Forget lost coins, Satoshi's coins, burned keys. This is the maximum that will ever exist. And I agree with you. I think that it is very hard for the average person to really understand that, like at a very deep level of just absolute scarcity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's awesome that it's being talked about on, like, that's one of the biggest podcasts out there right now. That guy's podcast. I don't even know what it's called, but I've seen his clips and stuff.
Diary of a CEO.
Yeah. Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's great. I mean, it's awesome that it's being talked about in this way of like, that dude's not bullshitting around. Like, it's almost funny the way that it is funny the way he answers, because it's so matter of fact. And like, I don't even need to expand on this. Like, at first, he's just like, this is just the absolute truth right here. And it's like, the guy's sort of like reacting, like, how can I get you to expand on it? And the guy's like, okay, well, I guess I will. But it's like, it's really this simple, there's nothing else like it.
It's interesting because I was actually having a conversation with a guy. I was in Saskatchewan last week for a football game, big sports guy here. I didn't watch much of the football game, but I was talking to a guy after, and I was telling him, he asked what I did, and I said, I help people with Bitcoin stuff. So we got into this big discussion about it. And he owned Bitcoin. He was a Forex trader, he told me. So he definitely didn't understand Bitcoin. He was a trader of it. But it was really interesting just to see how detached the average person is from this. Like, I was kind of at the point where, like, man, he's trying to argue these things with me. And I had such a weird feeling that I've never really had before. Just so much assurance in what I was talking about and what I was like in. And I could tell that he was just kind of like floundering and grasping at straws and throwing out buzzwords and stuff. And it was just like, I finally said to him, we could spend 3 hours talking about this, but you and I pretty much live on different planets right now. And it's like, I don't really know how to argue with you anymore, because you're just so far away from where I am with this whole thing, even though he's like kind of close. Like, he's definitely not somebody who's, as I call them, purple hair, whatever, but he's like close to it. He owns some Bitcoin. He trades it. He kind of understands the aspect of scarcity. He said, do you like gold? I said, yeah. But the point is that I said, we're on two different planets, man. Like we could be here for days or weeks, probably talking about this back and forth, but it's so different to actually talk about somebody who doesn't spend so much time like we do in Bitcoin, just how far away they are from the understanding of that.
Yeah. You live on the Bitcoin asteroid.
Exactly. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
man.
yeah. What else do we have here for the scarcity? Rajat, did you have something to share on that? Oh, just the amount left, right?
Yeah, the supply. Let me share that screen.
I mean, that's a cool feature too, in the sense that Rajat's going to bring up a graphic here, and that's kind of one thing he said. We know exactly how many there are today. And when you think about it that way, it's like, okay, well, when you know exactly how many sats there are that exist right now or that are circulating, you can fairly measure things against that. You can fairly value and price things against it. It's an honest measuring stick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it doesn't change every day, right? We know exactly how many will be issued. Like you can see it here, 450 Bitcoin on average issued per day. Every 10 minutes, there's going to be a block, right? There's only going to be 100. This is going to reach 100% in 2140. The last Bitcoin is going to take like 36 years to mine. So if you can get your hands on some today, I think you're going to be much better off than somebody who doesn't buy.
Yeah. I mean, wow. 1.08 million Bitcoins left to be mined. And this makes me think of like, there's people still investing in like Bitcoin miners, like public Bitcoin miners as investments. And I'm just like, there's really not that much more for them to get. And obviously that's all just new Bitcoin, and there's fees and stuff they can acquire too. But I just think
They're just borrowing to buy Bitcoin.
They really are. They
Yeah.
are. But they're also borrowing and diluting their shareholders to fund operations. So they're not even profitable as businesses. Like they're these crazy startups that you're just assuming are going to make enough Bitcoin in the future to pay back all the infrastructure costs, even though all their miners become outdated every 2-3 years and they have to buy new ones. And it's just a terrible business. It's like a commodity style business where it all just goes down to like these very slim margins. And then there's companies that just borrow money and buy Bitcoin. And the most successful one out of there has 600,000 Bitcoin, more than half of what's still left to be mined. It just makes so much more sense to get as much Bitcoin as possible now, as opposed to like get it over time. Like what you said, like it's going to take what, 30 something years to get one Bitcoin. Like that's what these public miners are going to be competing for at a certain point in the future.
Wow. And think about the hash power at that time too.
Yeah. Like technology is just going to get better, which means hash power is going to go up, making it more competitive, making it more difficult. And energy costs are likely going to go down. That's debatable, actually, I suppose. But I see a future of energy costs going down as more energy is being tapped.
In fiat or Bitcoin or both?
Well, there's a possibility for, like in fiat, there's a possibility for it, right? If we have technological breakthroughs, and if energy capture becomes more profitable because of Bitcoin mining, then it becomes more abundant. And when there's more supply, it becomes cheaper. And that demand is variable when it comes to Bitcoin mining, because the demand's only there when it's profitable. So I don't know. I see an energy abundant future. Yes,
me too.
I think we're probably going to find other ways to generate energy, right? Like we're gonna probably go into nuclear energy. Probably going to find other ways to generate it. And then I feel like with Bitcoin mining, there's actually an incentive for people to go into other countries and create Bitcoin energy grids and like the infrastructure for that. So I think energy is going to become more abundant.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Technological breakthrough and the incentive to capture energy that already exists. Think about how much energy is wasted from all the sun that's hitting the earth, all the wind, all the tidal, all the geothermal, all the natural gas, leaking out of the earth at certain points. There's all sorts of energy just not being captured, and it can be captured and used if there's the profitable incentive to do so.
Everywhere it's wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, even around here, one example of wasted energy would be in the wintertime for me. This is something I learned while being in Bitcoin. You turn on the stove, you cook a meal, and instead of closing the door and wasting that energy, you actually let it just heat the house a little bit. That's a very a Ukrainian method, probably. My grandma's probably been doing that for 50 years. But it's just a different way to think about energy because there's heat in there, right? Why would you waste that heat? Why would you just let it go to nothing? Why wouldn't you actually put it to use?
We do that here
Yeah.
too. Well, my wife and I do that just to save a little bit of energy, you know?
Yeah. And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, when you price things in a scarce unit like sats, it really changes your whole life in every way. You probably turn off the lights a little bit more. I just think of every like kilowatt of energy. I'm like, those are sats I'm wasting. Before I was like, whatever, it's just money. It's never going to change too much either way. Going to get more expensive. But like every ounce of energy that I'm wasting, that's basically like units of my energy that I have to pay for at some point. So
And
change
there's
your
also
perspective.
like the future of Bitcoin mining as well, in my opinion, is like why, if you use baseboards, if you use electrical heating, why just use resistance electrical heating when you could get yourself a couple of these bad boys, start heating your, each room could have its own Bitcoin miner. They can be built in a way that they're basically heaters, and the heat is subsidized by Bitcoin mining. It doesn't even have to be profitable because you're going to be heating anyway. Like it just needs to, anything you make is something you make that otherwise you wouldn't. I see
100%.
a huge amount of hash rate coming online as more and more products are developed specifically for that niche.
100%. So everybody, I've been missing some comments here because I put GJ up here and it actually covered Forrest's whole head there with the view that we just had. So I don't know what's with this new template here, but they're massive. So hello everybody. Josh is here, Alexandra. Okay, so the other thing I was going to say there is that what's your guys' opinion on this for the last million coins as they're mined? Do you think that countries are going to start like absorbing or capturing some of these Bitcoin miners and say, hey, any Bitcoin you make, you're actually going to give to us or else? Or in the sense of the US, I think it's more likely that they actually make partnerships with these Bitcoin mining companies and say, hey, you can use our land to do this. You can use our resources, but we take 10% of every Bitcoin that you mine. Like, wouldn't that make sense from a country perspective if they want to remain relevant?
I think it makes sense. Like, the US has talked about creating a sovereign wealth fund. It would make sense that, there's some assets that the US government could allow for a Bitcoin miner to access, to have like sort of, exclusive access to that, which gives that miner an advantage. And therefore they extract the value out of the advantage that they're giving to that miner. And it goes to the US government in the form of Bitcoin. On a much less, well, I mean, the U.S. basically just took a private stake or a stake in Intel, so it's anything's off the table here with this. But there's other countries out there that are very much more forward about like their nationalization of public and private companies, and they have like the Chinese government has a CCP agent working within every single company that is important within China. So there's what they do is adjusted based on that, and all of that is to strengthen the party, right? Whether it's direct or indirect, it still is strengthening that nation. And so I think that is definitely possible, that like other nations are much more forward about like the takeovers and the adoption of Bitcoin mining. And then, I mean, it's not out of the realm of like the U.S. either. They're pretty forward. This administration, right? They took a 10% stake of Intel. That's pretty crazy to me. But I mean, they gave Intel a bunch of stuff. So would you rather them not have anything? It's a really, I mean, that whole debate can be argued either way, I feel like.
That's what I mean. But like, I know it's like the U.S. government and a corporation, but the U.S. government is also a corporation. So that's like something that's saying, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And that's why I think that it'll probably happen this exact same thing with Bitcoin mining. A lot of people think that they're going to capture strategy and use that as their reserve. I think that's less likely. I think it's more likely for them to start either acquiring some Bitcoin mining companies or partnering with them. And kind of like we were saying there, you can use this land, because I think that that's the number one asset that the US government has is their land.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people really realize that as much. They think, well, they're $37 trillion in debt. They can print their currency out of nothing. But the US government actually has a lot of assets, including natural resources. And so if they said you can have exclusive rights to mine Bitcoin on this property, it's way out here, it generates a ton of energy, but you just give us 10% of all the Bitcoin you earn, that seems like a no-brainer to me.
Absolutely.
For both sides.
Yeah, and I think actually like the US government technically has all of the like natural resource rights on land or something like that, and then they lease it out to companies.
Right.
So that's something they could do, and instead of having to pay permits or whatever to get access to that, there could just be, we own a stake of your company now.
Yeah, or waive the lease, or give them a really good discount on the lease of the land or something like that.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. What was the other thing I was going to say there? Anyways, anything else on scarcity, boys?
I think it's just that same thing that we talked about in that last video, where it's like, if you start, if you have one sat, if you accumulate one sat somewhere, like that is a piece of this pie, and it's a finite pie, and that sat might be worth a lot more. Well, it's going to be worth a lot more than it is today, right? And there's nobody out there that can dilute that sat and make it worth half a sat, right? Or like, in terms of increased supply, that 21 million is fixed. I don't see that changing. And I think that it makes sense to acquire as much of a scarce, desirable asset as you possibly can, and to actually have it and own it, not allow somebody else to own it for you. Bitcoin was built to be sovereign, and there's a lot of people operating in Bitcoin that have never actually used Bitcoin, never actually held Bitcoin, and they're allowing a third party to use Bitcoin for them. So I would consider acquiring as much sats as you possibly can and actually owning them. That would be, my final pin in that coffin.
Do you guys think that Intel created shares out of thin air to give them to the US?
I mean, they've created shares out of thin air as they've, like stock-based compensation and stuff, but I don't think that they did that to give to the US government. I'm not 100% sure on the deal, but
how would they have given the US government the shares then? What do you think?
Ownership from the company stake.
The company gave their own shares to. Oh wow, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and the company maybe would have had to buy shares from the public market to be able to source them. I'm not 100% sure how they source them, but if it was a massive dilutive event, you would have seen that in the stock price, and they would have had to have permission to do that. And since it's there would be a board saying, no, let's not do that. Let's, source them other ways. I'd be surprised. I don't know the ins and outs of that detail, but I'd be very surprised if they diluted it.
Mm.
Yeah, and Gen X here says it's public information. Look up the balance sheet. Just again, haven't done that, but yeah,
really great.
Of course, it is a public company, so all of that would be available.
I wanted to change gears a little bit. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but it's possible that MicroStrategy might be included in the S&P 500 today.
What?
What are your thoughts on that? Did you guys know about that?
I did, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I think it's pretty unlikely, personally.
Oh, you think so? Okay. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, there's other companies that qualify as well. So they're competing, right? And I think it's around 10 to 20% of companies on their first full qualification get into the S&P 500. So there's because there's 500 companies in there, right? So they have to kick some companies out to allow some companies in. So it depends on if companies, I don't know the exact thing, but it's basically like if companies stop, they can be in the S&P 500 and they cannot qualify to get into the S&P 500 again, but they're still allowed within the S&P 500 for a certain amount of quarters or a certain amount of readjustments or something. It's a certain time period, which basically allows them as a company to like get back to being able to qualify while still remaining in the S&P 500. But then there's a point where they've gone past that time and they don't qualify anymore, and they get kicked out, and then they put new companies in. So it's a very exclusive club to get into. And there's just other companies that could get in, and I think they qualify for everything, but there's a committee that ultimately makes this decision. It's not just numbers based, and they're going to look at the crypto, the Bitcoin, all this stuff. They probably have varying degrees of understanding on, and just say, you know what, let's just let this ride at least another time, see how it goes. People have pulled into question all these different things about MSTR right now, right? Like, is it Ponzi adjacent to sell shares? It's like either something's a Ponzi or it's not, right? Like a Ponzi is a completely illegal system of operating. You can't really be Ponzi adjacent. You're either abiding by the law or not. And then it's like the NASDAQ also has new requirements or something of disclosure of selling your equity to acquire Bitcoin or any crypto. And so there's sort of like all of these questions about the legitimacy of MSTR at this point. So I think with that controversy, that gives the committee a lot of leeway to say, no, we're just not going to include this right now. But by the next time that they're reevaluating and rebalancing the S&P, what is MSTR's market cap going to be then, right? Like, how much more is the passive buyers of the S&P index is going to have to buy because they waited one time? Like this happened with Tesla, right? Tesla famously got passed over, and by the time they were able to get included again, they were just so much bigger, and that spike of buying was massive for the shareholders of Tesla when they did get included in S&P 500.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, if they do get added, they're gonna just blow up, right? If they get bigger by the time that they're included, there's going to be a higher requirement to buy shares, so they're gonna be higher up on the, I guess, on the scale.
Yeah, higher weighted. Yeah. And there's a lot of people do think that they're actually going to get it, and like there's a couple weird things. Tesla sold, before they got included, they sold like some Tesla branded tequila, and they sold it for a certain price,
$250. I saw that.
Yeah, and then MSTR, this, yesterday I think it was, released these Nike Dunks that were MSTR themed, and it was the same price as the tequila for Tesla. So it's almost like they're kind of like, I don't know, is that a sign? Like, people are like reading the tea leaves here with the S&P 500 inclusion, and a lot of people think it's going to happen. Personally, well, also it's going to happen after close. I think it happens at like 5:15 Eastern. So I have some covered calls on my MSTR shares, and I've rolled them closer to strike because I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm sort of making that bet. And this week I've been proven right by the not by whether they're getting in or not, but by the price action of MSTR. It's gone down this week, and I could have sold even closer to the money.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things too, because Saylor's last purchase was also 444, I think, which was also a nod to Josh Mandel, who's also predicted that they are going to get in today.
Yeah.
So the thing for me is, like, most people, whenever people think that it's not going to happen, that's usually when it does. When everybody thinks that it is going to happen, that's usually when it doesn't. So I don't really know where I lean either way on it. I like this comment though. George drunk AF after 4 sips of beer. I hope not.
Are you?
But
lightweight.
Yeah, I think that I see it a couple different ways. So I am a strategy shareholder. I don't think that anybody, if you had $100 in your bank account, you should never buy strategy with that. You should never give somebody else your money to buy Bitcoin on your behalf and get half of the Bitcoin that you could get otherwise. If you have $100 in your bank account, buy Bitcoin with that. I had some money in the system. I do own some strategy shares, but I honestly wouldn't be too mad if they didn't get into the S&P, because when they get into the S&P, there's going to be a lot of people out there, a lot of the people who have spent 0 hours in Bitcoin, we call them 0-hour dipshits, that'll benefit from Bitcoin being in the S&P 500. So I think Bitcoin, really, you need to put in, it's proof of work for a reason. You can't just crap on Bitcoin for a decade and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, well, it's in the S&P, so I'm just going to get really rich off it. So I kind of hope that these people suffer a little bit longer, the people who have intentionally avoided Bitcoin for a long time, and not only just avoided it, but actually gone out of their way to crap on Bitcoin. So that's why I'm kind of mixed. I hope they get in for my own personal net worth, but for the my revenge or spite against everybody else, I hope that they don't get into the S&P.
Yeah, fair. I mean, the thing is though, like they're in the NASDAQ, right? And a lot of people hold the QQQ index.
True.
And everybody's benefiting from the price appreciation of it. Eventually they're going to get in, and all, like, there's Block got into the S&P 500 the last time, and
Right.
they buy Bitcoin with 10% of the profits, or I think it's gross income from any of their Bitcoin operations, and they have like the proto Bitcoin miners and a few other things that they're doing Bitcoin related. Cash App has like you can buy and sell Bitcoin, so anything earned from that, 10% of the profits goes into holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So like these people are already getting exposed to Bitcoin through these other instruments. Even Coinbase is in the S&P 500, recently got in as well, and they have increased their Bitcoin position. They're not obviously not a Bitcoin company, but Bitcoin's working its way into this, whether MSTR gets in or not this time. Like everybody's getting exposure to Bitcoin through a third party at some point. It's just inevitable. But yeah.
VHF here says Bitcoin only needs these three things: fixed supply, ensures demand, the 4-year halving cycle, and to be the hedge on inflation due to currency devaluation. That's it, nothing more. Yeah.
Difficulty adjustment is another one, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of more important than the 4-year halving. I really think that the 4-year halving has kind of lost all of its significance. Even the people who are in Bitcoin, who would usually like be, all for it's the new supply is getting cut in half. Everybody else is like, what's a halving cycle? But even the Bitcoiners are like, it's not even that important anymore. Like there's just not that much left, like 5.1% for the next 100 years. Who cares what happens every 4 years? It's pretty much all mined already anyways. And that was Saylor's whole case too. He said like up until 2035, that's when I think it's 99%, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. 1% comes out, yeah. I mean, I think it's important optically because people are wondering, hey, what are the miners going to do if they get a pay cut? Every time halving, they get a 50% pay cut. Are the miners going to shut off? And they don't. I mean, there's a little bit of capitulation with like profitability, and we saw that last time, and we've seen that every time basically. But then the price ends up rallying to compensate for that. So I think it's important optically for people to like see that the security budget that people call mining is like still operating and still increasing nonstop. And yeah.
Sorry, Forrest, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
All good.
We should show that, because I think that's a great point you make there. And I think a really good way to demonstrate here is like looking back at the last halving cycle. Yep. I think we did this on one of our videos we did for the school community. But you can see here that this is block 800,000. I just use this as an example because it was in the last halving. So you can see here that the subsidy and fees on this one totaled 6.387 Bitcoin. So that's what the miner in this case was, carbon negative. Horrible name for a miner, by the way. But that's what they got paid in Bitcoin.
And that's at 6 sats per VByte too. That's high fees.
Right. Yeah. 13 million sats for the fees there. And so they got fiat terms was 186,000. So you might say, well, every 4 years, the miners are going to suffer more and more. But just keep these two numbers in mind here: 6.83 Bitcoin or 38 Bitcoin and 186,000 in fiat. And if we go to the last block that was mined by Spider hit 3 in a row, little turkey there. You can see here that the total subsidy was half of that, about, or less than half of that, 3.129 Bitcoin. But the fiat price pretty much doubled.
Wow. Yeah, it looks almost like exactly double. That's crazy. And
that's what the miners pay their bills in, right? Their energy costs are in fiat. So you might say, well, the Bitcoin miners make less every 4 years, but in Bitcoin. But the idea there is that as demand comes, as the purchasing power goes up, they can actually pay their bills much more easily. Even if they are earning less Bitcoin, the Bitcoin are worth more.
Yeah. And that's been constant. That's not just this 4-year cycle and last. That's constant. Like there's little dips where they're more on, like immediately after when that subsidy hits, they're going to be less profitable. In the last case, it might have not been the case because there was all of a sudden like all this spam on the network immediately on that halving block. But for the most part, it's like they're getting half as much Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's price isn't going to just immediately double. It takes a little bit of time, and there's a little bit of like unsureness about profitability of Bitcoin miners, and then the price goes up enough to keep them profitable. And I think these Bitcoin miners, they all like, it's not like they're like shocked that the halving's coming. Like
Yeah, they're ready for it.
They're ready for it. They're anticipating it. They've upgraded their miners. They've found cheaper energy. They know they're ready to shut off certain miners if they have to and wait and all this kind of stuff. They're ready for it.
It was funny to watch yesterday because yesterday there was a difficulty adjustment that happened, and I think there were like 90 blocks ahead. So when the blocks are coming in too fast, they crank up the difficulty adjustment to make it harder for the miners to slow down the blocks and bring it back to every 10 minutes on average. So I noticed this yesterday where the difficulty adjustment was coming, and you could tell that it was going to be a big upwards adjustment. And so then you could see right before the difficulty adjustment kicked in, the hash rate just dropped because there was a bunch of miners that actually powered down because they knew how much more difficult it was going to be for these next couple of weeks. So they're not just paying attention to like 4-year cycles. They're paying attention to every difficulty adjustment, which is on average every 2 weeks. So they're very in tune with what's going on there.
I mean, it's probably algorithmic. Like they probably know what's going on like day by day as like profitability, fees, all this stuff. And you can see, so we have 73 blocks mined since the difficulty adjustment, and already like if it just kept constant right here with the amount of difficulty on the net, or the amount of hash rate on the network, it's going to go down. Like the difficulty adjustment is going to adjust downwards by 5.2. And this is because a bunch of miners capitulated, just as you said. They went off the network, meaning that the difficulty adjustment happened and there wasn't as much average hash rate as there had been for the previous 14 days. So blocks are coming in slower, right? They're coming in average of 10 minutes and 10.8 minutes.
How far behind is it? Does it say?
How far behind?
How many?
Where would
there should be a little, or maybe it hasn't shown up there yet. There's usually
it usually does say how many blocks behind they are. No, I mean they're just it just shows blocks remaining, blocks mined, and there we go. Five blocks behind.
Oh yeah.
So that could either increase, right? They could continue to have slower average block time, and it could take longer, or maybe the price goes up, or the efficiency of miners, or some hash rate comes online, and it compensates for this, and maybe we end the halving cycle at more difficult, right? Like on average, that is what happens.
Yep.
Over time, like on average, this is less than 10 minutes when you look at all the hash rate and all the difficulty adjustments. And
5 blocks doesn't seem like much. You're like, oh, well, it's only 5 blocks behind, but it's only been 70 since the difficulty. So that's a pretty big percentage based on how early we are in the difficulty adjustment here to be 5 blocks behind already. So that's why it's saying we're looking like a 5% adjustment. So if you scaled that over the next 13 days and we were still only 5 blocks behind, then it would probably not go really either way. But because we're already so far behind so early in this difficulty adjustment, that's why it's saying that it's going to be cranked down 5%, because there was so much hash rate taken off the network.
Over time, because the hash rate just keeps increasing, you see that the average time per block is below the 10 minutes, because over time, more and more computers will keep coming, more and more hash will keep coming to the network, more and more energy will keep coming to the network. And because of that, the average time per block keeps decreasing. Because let's say, for example, if the difficulty adjustment increases, it's not going to decrease to make it so that the block time goes it's not going to increase to make it so the block time goes above 10 minutes. It's always trying to have that goal of keeping it below. So if it goes below, then it can correct upward. But if it goes above, it won't I guess I'm not really explaining that right, but it won't stay above that for a very long time, but it can stay below.
I think I know what you're saying, because over time, on average, even the difficulty adjustment, it'll come down, but like over a longer term time frame, it will come below
Yeah.
10 minutes. And that's kind of what we're seeing already here. If we look at
Right.
the time chain calendar here, you can look at the average block time
Oh,
since
there you go. Yeah.
the Genesis block is actually, as Rajat was saying there, is actually lower than 10 minutes. So even though the difficulty adjustment does its best to keep it at a 10-minute target, every new block coming in is supposed to be every 10 minutes. Over a longer time frame, it's actually 9 minutes and 36 seconds. So it is well below, or not well below, but like percentage wise, it is actually significantly below the but still pretty good.
Yeah, and
16 years.
the reason for that is because on average, every 2-week period, there's more hash rate than the last 2-week period on average. So the only way that would go above that average is if on average there was less hash rate every single 2 weeks than there was in the previous 2 weeks,
Right.
which is not historically not what we see. Right? We've only seen in Bitcoin, we've only seen like pretty dramatic hash rate drop offs, like from like China mining ban. And then it recovers really quickly. So it's not like this, like it's actually like if you look at hash rate of other proof of work blockchains out there, you can see them like sort of like peaking, and then it's just like this sort of slow grind downwards. That's actually like the chain dying. Like that is people moving off the network because it's not profitable anymore because of either their supply issuance or the price and the adoption of that coin or whatever. But with Bitcoin, it's the opposite, right? It's going up, and then there's a correction down from the halving or from the Bitcoin or from the China mining ban, and then it recovers. And we don't like, so it's very healthy. I mean, the hash rate is incredibly healthy. Yeah.
Whoops.
There you go.
How'd that get on there?
That looks really bad, actually, to me. That looks like people are not profitably mining, and they are just having to turn their machines off and say, okay, I'm going to move on because the supply issuance of this coin is too rapid, and it's not worth mining anymore.
I also think though, we probably, as much as, I agree with you guys on this, I need to play a little bit of devil's advocate. But like if you stretch it over like a longer term, I think that's what you need to see. But I will say that hash rate is usually the leading indicator of price. So if the hash rate is going up, then the price is usually going to follow that. And if the hash rate's going down, then the price usually follows that eventually too. So if you're somebody who's holding Casper right now, based on the chart that's here, you probably don't have a whole lot of great days ahead, and in the near term anyways. Because if we look at the hash rate of Bitcoin.
So do you think hash rate leads or follows price?
I think it leads.
You think it leads?
Yeah, I think it leads too.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm not 100% sure, because it could follow, because it would make sense to follow as well, because if price went up, then there's more incentive to put hash rate on because you're more profitable.
I guess it's a self-fulfilling prophecy either way. It's like a loop,
It's a flywheel.
right? It's
Yeah,
like a
loop.
feedback loop.
Yeah.
So if one goes up, the other one has to go up. If the price goes up because people are willing to hold Bitcoin, then the
Mhm.
hash rate goes up because more miners are willing to come onto Bitcoin to get that reward.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess,
and I mean,
I guess you're right. Yeah.
this is probably measurable. Like you could probably chart hash rate and price and actually see which one leads and follows. But just I haven't actually done that before, but it probably is. I mean, Nav in the chat is saying hash rate always leads, so maybe that is the case. But I do feel like they're sort of reliant on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe next episode we'll just have an hour and a half where we sit here and stare at this chart for an hour and a half and say nothing. Like, look at that thing. But kind of what I was going to say there is, like, if we go back to like the early days of Bitcoin, like I don't want to cherry pick anything here, but like there probably was times when, like right here, for example, where it's going down.
That's the what year is that?
That's 2011.
Ooh, interesting.
So it'd be pretty close to like when Caspa's inception was. And
True.
I'm not trying to say buy Caspa or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, over the long run here, they're two totally different things. Like I have a very hard time even comparing the two because they are so different. They're trying to skip the whole store of value aspect, which you can't do. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that probably has happened in Bitcoin before, where it looked like it was going down for a shorter time frame, but then you zoom out and it's just like
Isn't that what the US dollar did? Tried to
What?
skip the store of value.
yeah, true.
That's exactly
point.
right.
Kind of while we're on this topic, I figured this would be a good time to address this, but it says, can you explain how the block will be supported when the coins are lowered per mining? Like basically, I think what Franken's asking here is like in 2030 or 2120, 2130, when the subsidy is like 30 sats for a new block, and then it runs out, what's the incentive to mine? It's the transaction fees.
Yeah, and the transaction fees will just over time become more and more of a percentage of what miners are getting as there's more and more halvings. And as block space demand changes, which there is the potential for more block space demand. I mean, if Bitcoin is going to become the base layer of money, there's going to be lots of high value transactions on there and lots of usage for operating layer twos, closing and opening lightning channels, for instance, would be the current case, but who knows what the layer twos and threes look like at that point. And all of that has to be done on chain or connect to the on chain, and those fees become more and more significant, and percentage wise become more and more of the value that miners get.
Yeah. Hey, we got a comment from Grady Gravy.
Sorry, I'm way behind on comments.
It's a
super chat.
Oh, nice.
And I have some data to show you guys for this.
Oh, that's not the right one.
Got the receipts. Nope.
Carlin, thanks for the $2, my friend. Where's the super chat? I don't see it, boys. Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry.
Go to your start. Yeah. Okay. So you said don't buy MSTR, buy MSTY. I get it. I get what you're saying, Grady. But the issue here is that, okay, so if we take a look at MSTR, the stock, I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. If we take a look at MSTR over the same period, MSTR is up like 300%.
From the inception of MSTY?
From the inception of MSTY came up around like February 2024. So it was like here, somewhere around here. So at the time, one share of MSTR was $73. Today, it's at $335, right? But if you look at MSTY, so let me switch over to MSTY. The MSTY stock is down 27.59%.
Here, let me share my screen for a second,
Rajat.
I have a really good example of this. And then
I thought Grady was in the live stream here because he was covering your face there, Forrest. I thought he popped in.
Do you see my screen there, Jor?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So if we look at that.
Oh, nice. Wow.
So Misty, okay, so since inception, Misty is down 23%. MSTR is up 369%. So that's since the inception of MSTY. So if MSTY is paid out 177% in dividends, it really is just 100 and what is that? 54%. My math might be incorrect there. 154% up. So it's been fine as an income investment. You've beaten the S&P, you've beaten all these things. It's great as an investment, but if you're comparing it to MSTR, it has vastly underperformed and been hellish for tax purposes as well. Because all of those dividends you're paying regular income dividend, like it depends on your jurisdiction, but you potentially probably have quite a tax headache. If you've held it for this duration, you could in the States, you could have long-term capital gains if you're selling your MSTR shares in relation to capture that gain. And that would be much more tax efficient than MSTY at that point.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I actually pulled up some of the other what's it called? That company, that Yield Max.
Yep.
Yeah.
I pulled up
they all look like that.
Yeah, they all look like that. So MSTY is down 27% all time. We have
it's the best performing one too for that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Oh, actually, that was actually not that bad too.
NVDY is down 18%. We have Coinbase. Coinbase is down 63%. That's crazy.
How most of them look. So yeah, and the NVIDIA one is surprising to me, but NVIDIA's gone on quite a tear, so that makes sense actually.
And here's Tesla. Tesla's down 81.7%, 81.07%.
Wow.
That's what these funds are designed to do. They're designed to consistently go to zero and do reverse stock splits to continue to actually exist, and then just pay out the dividends. The premium they get isn't what they actually fully pay out. They pay out the premium, but they also pay out part of the capital that you've put in. And by doing that, they're eroding the value of the fund and your investment.
And then on top of that, they have like executives that they have to pay. They have fees, they have platform fees, they have commissions, they have all their management expense ratio. All that stuff is included, right? So you're really not getting like exactly what you said there, Forrest. They're getting a certain amount, but they're only giving you a fraction of that.
Exactly. Yeah. They're designed to go to zero. That's entirely how they're designed. And you can see that historically. And people will say, well, MSTR is going to just outperform so much that this fund will never go to zero because it's built on that. And it's like, then just buy MSTR if you think it's going to go up so much. Like, it's just a very inefficient vehicle. If you like, I don't know. I like the Harvest MSTY, but it's really for Canadians only, I would say. But it's structured so differently. They're not returning capital. It's potentially capping upside, but providing you income the whole time. And you can do that in a tax efficient way within Canada. But that's just such a small little side niche thing to talk about. Most people just get confused and think I'm endorsing Yield Max MSTY when I talk about Harvest MSTE or MSTY. But that's definitely not the case. The Yield Max product should be held by almost nobody, in my opinion.
Ooh, those are some strong words there, Forrest. Take it from a guy who studied it in depth, I would say. Little break here, boys, because I've been putting off jumping in here for a while. But we are on Nostr today. We got 20 people watching over there. There has been a couple updates to Primal and Amethyst over on Nostr. And if you don't know what Nostr is, you should probably find out. But we have Letha over there who zapped 5,000 sats not once, but twice.
Wow.
So thank you, Letha, over on Nostr. I don't know if she's still here because it was a while ago, but Orange Mart also zapped 121 sats over on Nostr, and our guy Todd Afia also zapped 1,000 sats. But that's not it. We also got some to the QR code beside Rajat's head there. Somebody sent in 10,000 sats.
Holy smokes.
And
wow.
I think it was our good friend Cedar Sats I see in the chat there. So thank you for that. And then we had a couple
Mark
more.
We had he sent sats in the chat there. Mark Hogue.
Yep. So we got 1845 twice as well. I think those are 3 times from Sin Diesel, 1845. And then Alexandra actually sent in 3690. So a Tesla zap with a 0 at the end of it. So thank you. I learned a lot from you guys, Alexandra.
Amazing.
So thanks everybody. That's you can use that QR code beside Rajat's head there. Or if you're watching this on your phone, you can also send a little zapperoo to maplebitcoin@konos.io. Any amount. They all are very meaningful to us. So thank you. Let's get to this one though. Cannon says, what's your guys' opinion on mining Bitcoin at home? Like approximately 50, 100 terahash worth of power. Also, please buy sats with this.
We will.
Yeah, you don't have to tell us twice.
Yeah,
so thanks, Cannon.
So 50 to 100 terahash of mining is a fair amount. Like a BitAxe, for instance, which I have behind me here, this little guy right there, that's 1.2 terahash. So you would need, 50 or 100 of those. I think, what is an S9? I don't know exactly, but maybe an S9 would get you up to that. Maybe not, but you can, what I would recommend is and actually Matt has a really good comment here. He says it starts to get loud at 100 terahash. Yeah, that is one of the problems of home mining is the cooling systems are going to be fans for the most part, and they're going to be loud at that point. So a lot of times they've been adjusted so that you can have it on, you can have it slower, and then it not be so loud, but then it's going to be less efficient. You're going to be able to get less hash rate out of it. I think if you're mining with, or if you're heating with electricity anyway, and a lot of people aren't because electricity is not the cheapest way to heat for the most part. But if you are anyway, You could get a few different little miners. Maybe an S9 with a 120 volt would work for you, or I think Heatbit or Crypto Cloaks. They have a few different options where they've actually been designed and built to look much more aesthetic, and also heat your home as a space heater. You could get something like this. This is like the original model. This is a Avalon Nano 3, but it's 4 terahash, and it does around like 100 watts. So it's incredibly inefficient, but there's more efficient models of this. And for me, like my apartment runs really hot, even in the winter. So this will heat my entire office. And I'll just leave this on 100% of the time. And I would just have to heat my office anyway. So there's little tiny opportunities like that make a lot of sense for mining. And I think that could be something to work towards. And like old S9s are really cheap, actually. You can pick up an old S9 really cheap. These things are not cheap, right? But they look beautiful. They can sort of be an aesthetic choice, a lot of fun to use. That's $800. You can buy a lot of Bitcoin for $800. You're probably never going to get your Bitcoin back from mining something like this. But you can help decentralize the network. It can be a fun experiment. Maybe you already have hit your stacking goals. Then something like this could make sense. It can be non-KYC, that can be an added benefit. The other added benefit is you have this thing and it's a little conversation piece. People come over, you say, yeah, I'm actually mining Bitcoin right now. People are like, true. That looks awesome. And you're mining Bitcoin, you're getting paid to heat. That can spark the conversation, right? So yeah.
Cat not included.
Be worth it if the cat was included. No, those things are awesome though. They are worth it. They're just not, I think it's not for every single person. Like not everybody should spend $800 on a space heater.
Yeah. Like not everybody, I don't think anyways, watching the show is 7 degrees. I had a jacket on before we started the show today. 7 degrees here right now. And I'm really reluctant to turn on the furnace because I don't want to yet. I'm not ready for it. And I don't want to waste any more sats. So I'm dressing in layers to try to conserve some energy here. But the good news is
BitAxe isn't heating you.
The BitAxe is not heating anything, no. But the beer stays cold.
Nice. Yeah. That's crazy. It's still so hot here, man. It's so hot here on the West Coast still.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the temperature right now?
It was in the 20s. I went to the beach yesterday.
Oh, it's 22 here.
What? Where am I? It was 3 degrees here yesterday.
You're in hell.
I'm in reverse hell.
Yeah, frozen hell. Hell froze over. Yeah. WorkSafe Bitcoin asked mining pool or solo mining. Solo mining is like a lottery. Like you're probably not going to hit anything. If you're paying, like if you're, I don't know. I pool mine personally. I pool mine with Datum Gateway and I contribute to Ocean so that if I was actually to mine a block, I would construct the block. So it helps with the decentralization of it. But then I'm actually getting paid something for my electricity that I would not get paid for otherwise.
How do you do that? Because like with the datum stuff there, like would you get notified if your miner hit a block and then you had to design that, or is that kind of pre-programmed within your software where it automatically, whatever you've configured, that's how it designs the next template?
It's whatever's in your mempool, whatever your expected block is gets created. But
is there like based on like taking the price based on taking what, like how is the template designed?
The template is designed based on your mempool policy filters in your Bitcoin knots, or so with your Ocean, I don't think you can actually contribute to Ocean with Bitcoin Core. I think you have to be on Bitcoin knots, I believe. Believe you can use Datum still on Bitcoin Core, but so whatever your mempool policy is, whatever mempool you've created, you will mine, and it's based off of whatever you've configured within your settings.
Interesting. Very interesting.
We could take a look at it if you wanted. I don't know how interesting it would be, but like I can bring up my mempool and stuff.
Was it going to dox you at all?
No, I don't think so.
What was I going to ask here? Had something to talk about. Oh, on that note, while Forrest brings this up, just in case everybody watching this hasn't seen the conversation that we had the other day about core and knots. I've seen quite a few questions in the chat asking about our opinion on this, and so we just shared a video. I don't know. I'll put in the private chat for you guys to share with people in your chat. But that's the video we shared the other day, an unbiased discussion on Bitcoin Core versus Bitcoin Not. So really good video. There's been 2,000 people who have watched it already. It's an hour and a half long. So if you got some time this weekend and you want a little bit more information, understanding of the whole spam wars going on, check that video out.
Okay, I got it here. So this is my node. So if we go into Bitcoin Knots and we go to config, my mempool policy here, can you guys see all that?
Yep.
0 data carrier size. This is default though, 43. And so anything I change in here, if I permit bare multisig, so now I'm not allowing that. Anything that I do in here is going to change what my mempool looks like. So if we go to, I'll just leave it. If we go to my mempool instance, which I will launch, and I will have to share this tab instead. Cannot be reached. What's going on? Something going on with my node right now.
We're under attack.
Something's going on. It was being really slow. I think my Tor might be... Yeah, let me just try to figure it out on my own here.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening. Oh, yeah.
You got her?
No, not yet. I'll let you know.
That's interesting, though. I'm glad we kind of talked about that, because I always wondered myself, and I don't know if I would have configured that or not when I set up my bidax. Like, that's what I've always kind of wondered, is if I hit like a solo block with my bidax, like who designs the template there? Does like solo CK, because that's who I'm connected to? Probably, hey?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's
if you're
kinda
just
what I thought.
so you're not mining to your own node?
No,
Just,
I had my bidax before I set up my node, so I just never changed it after that. I probably should.
Okay. Oh, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm having trouble with my node right now. This is weird. Just when I need it, right, to show on live, I have problems with it. Strange.
Well, what else did you expect?
Yeah.
We got a zap from localhost MEA zapped 420 sats and said Nostr is the way. Amen to that. And it looks like our guy Rod K for Freedom just sent in 4,650 sats to the Coinos wallet there. Thank you, Rod.
Wow.
Rod K. Okay, we'll come back to it maybe, Forrest. What do you figure?
Yeah, I'm restarting everything, so it's going to take a minute. So yeah, I mean, we can get back to it or not, but yeah.
Okay.
Matt in the comments mentioned something too, Forrest.
Yeah, flesh DNS command prompt. Yeah, maybe we'll see. I'll just I'll try a couple different things, but it's not that important. I do have. If anybody is really interested in how this all works, I released a video day before yesterday called "How Filters Work," and it directly compares like mempool space and what it looks like compared to my node, and what configuring your own node actually does to the mempool. That really fully explains that.
You just posted that yesterday?
I believe so. Yeah.
Do you know the title of it? Just in case anybody wants to watch.
It's called Core versus Knots. How do filters work?
Speaking of that, we saw we'll spend a couple minutes maybe talking about it. But yeah, if you haven't watched that video yet, definitely go check it out. It's on the Maple Bitcoin channel. If you're not subscribed over there yet, make sure you do. But we had some recent developments today where one of the biggest question marks I had between Core and Knots was why is Adam Back historically has been one of my most trusted voices in Bitcoin, mostly because he helped literally create Bitcoin. And I was kind of wondering why he was, so far on the side of Core. But as we saw today, he actually came out and said that he's supporting Knots now. What do you guys think about that?
It's pretty cool. Pretty interesting. That changes things, right? Before I was kind of wondering, like, okay, I think we're on the right side, but
yeah,
if there are people like Adam Back who are saying that this isn't the right way to go, then what are we missing?
Mm-hmm.
But now maybe he's had an epiphany and he believes the right thing.
My question was, like he's launched a Bitcoin treasury company in partnership with Cantor Fitzgerald. It seems like he would be pro, configurability for mempool, sovereignty for the individual node user. Why is he not? Right. So this seems a little sus. But what I really enjoyed was that he had real public discourse and conversations with people, discussing his ideas, taking in information, saying, "Oh, I agree with this. I don't agree with that." And it was like somebody like thinking through something, but in public. And it was somebody who's incredibly intelligent, and it's led to them saying, Bitcoin is money, basically, and not just a database, like a lot of people on Core's side will try to tell you. So yeah, I thought that part of it was really intellectually honest and interesting to watch.
The weird thing for me was that I'm pretty sure actually didn't verify this myself, but I'm pretty sure I saw a screenshot on Adam's X account, which he got into a little argument with Luke, which is the main maintainer of knots. And I think Luke blocked him.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. And then so I was like, okay, well, that's things are heating up when probably two of the biggest faces on each side, like Luke and Adam, when Luke blocks him, I feel like we've kind of reached the heat. And maybe that was just like the thing that needed to happen. And then a day later, Adam comes out and says that he's actually changed his mind, which you have to respect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've blocked some people just because they're annoying. Like I've blocked people because they're actually like harassing me.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was the case there. Like maybe it was just like, he's had enough. I mean, who knows what everything else is going on. Like it's hard to really like say like what the reason for that would entirely be. But yeah.
Yeah. There's still a few people on that side that I'm really not sure what their motives are, why they're still supporting it. But so what do you guys think then, without getting too far on either side or getting too far into this, what do you think is going to play out in the next month? Like if we continue to see people reconfiguring and actually running knots instead of core, like what does that look like? Or do you think the core would actually change their mind, or do you think they're just going to go full steam ahead and say, F it?
Well, I think it's going to just be default. Like it's basically like they're changing the configurability default of data carrier size, and you can always change that back. Now there's some sort of nuance with that where it isn't like a perfect, like they've sort of made it difficult or something like that. I don't know the details about that. That's just something Mechanic sort of offhand mentioned to me at the on Wednesday when I was talking to him. So if there is a problem, like it's really just about the miners, right? It's like if the miners see them potentially being liable for some sort of op return that's because it's serialized and it's larger than 100 or as large as 100 kilobytes, then they'll just change that configurability even if they update to Core 30. I think it's really about like public backlash, potential legal concerns, and I think a lot of people will. There's a lot of people on Core's side, so they will, just as much as a lot of people have switched to knots, there'll be a lot of people purposely updating to sort of signal that of their support of Core. So there will be some adoption of this, and I don't think Core is going to roll it back in this update. They might change it for the next update, but they're going to allow this until the next update happens, I believe.
I think the problem is that most people just go with the default option, right? They just trust the creator. They just trust whoever is the person that's putting the software together, and they'll just go with whatever the default is. I think there was a study done with. So I heard about I read about a study that was done for pension accounts, where if the default was that you would invest in your pension, then most people picked that. But if the default was that you don't invest in your pension, then that's what people picked, right? So whatever the default is that Core is putting through, that's what most people are probably going to have on their nodes for the next however long it is that version of it is the one that's used.
Absolutely. And I also think that there's going to be a lot of people that just don't update. They just think this is controversial. This is more controversial than the maintainers of Core thought it was and think it is. And I'm just not going to update. Like I think that's the camp you're in, Jor, right? Isn't it? You're running an old version of Core. You're just going to leave it, right?
Yeah, and that's where I think that the 18% is actually significantly understated.
Yeah.
In terms of like, there's a lot of people like me who will probably, set up knots eventually. It's just time consuming, right? Like nothing changes on my end. I would like to learn how to do it. I'm definitely not going to update to Core 30. I never really planned to. I wanted to really see both sides and hear both sides of the coin first, and then kind of make my decision. But yeah, I think the more information I get here, I am probably going to actually update from core or from the core version that I have now into knots instead of just leaving it, because the reason why is kind of what we alluded to in the video there, where eventually it's going to become like a concern for me just to leave it at that stage before. So I'm going to, if I want to update to that, I'll have to jump through a couple versions, including 30, and who knows where that's going to lead. So I think that I am probably in the camp. And I think that there's a lot of people like me who just haven't done anything yet because we haven't really needed to.
Exactly.
I think people who have started running knots right now is more of like a signal that this is what we want to do, and kind of like a big middle finger to the core side.
Yeah.
So for somebody who's like trying to hear both sides of it and kind of make a decision based on that, I didn't rush into anything, but it's pretty clear, I think, how I've been talking on my show and with the, on here even, that I do plan to update to knots. So I think that 18% is significantly understated, and it could be a big shock as we get closer to it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it takes about 5 minutes to switch over to knots, by the way, if you already have core. The other thing too is knots just finished an update to knots 29 from 28, but it hasn't been released yet to Start OS. So
I saw that.
I want to wait on that. Yeah.
You're also talking to somebody who ordered a Start 9 and let it sit right beside me here for 2 months. And then once I actually set it up, it took me like 10 minutes. So
yeah,
it's just priorities.
Fair.
But my question is, like, once, let's say that 30 is rolled out, like it's supposed to be in October, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So when it's rolled out, will we be able to tell, because that graphic we looked at on the video that we shared, it was like core and knots only, but will we be able to see like the core 30 part of that? Are they able to break that down too?
There is one that shows every version of core, or like every version of what people are running. So it shows like the main implementation is core 29, and then core 28, and then knots, and then a bunch of older versions of core as well. But all these statistics are kind of like not totally accurate, but yeah, that's the one right there. So yeah, when core 30 comes out, people will try their best to compile and see how many people are running it, and put that in there.
Look how many people are still running core 22.
Core 22. Oh yeah. 332.
That probably would have been me without this whole debate. I just never would have done anything.
What version are you running? Do you know?
It'd be 29 probably, because I just set it up a year ago, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice.
I could probably check that pretty easily, but
I wish I had the original version where you could just click mine and it would start mining from your computer.
Yeah.
Wonder if that's even available anymore. Like if you could download the original implementation of Bitcoin.
That would, like, version 1.
Yeah. It's probably like on Internet Archive or something.
There's got to be, I wish they showed that, because there's got to be some people who are still doing it that just haven't done anything.
It probably has all kinds of bugs by now, though, no?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have patched all that for sure in these newer versions.
It'd be a concern. Janik said, I'm pretty sure I've heard George saying people should run knots in previous videos. Kind of strange to hear that he hasn't done it yet himself. If I have, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think I've ever told anybody to run knots, because months ago when we were originally talking about this topic, I knew even less. I might have said that I kind of side with knots in that way, but I've never told anybody to run knots. And if you can find it, maybe I'm wrong, but who knows? When you do 2 hours of lives every day, you say some pretty stupid shit. So, and some errors.
Do you do 2 hours of lives every single day?
Yeah, I started at like 15 minutes, like when there was 3 people in the chat, and then I went to like an hour, and then an hour and a half. And then, yeah, I have a hard time. Like, I usually have a topic that I want to talk about, and then it's like, okay, we've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes here. Should probably talk about this topic. And then I have to rush through the main thing that I want to talk about to finish under 2 hours. So yeah, it's pretty hard to be fake when you're on live for 2 hours every day.
I did a couple of I did a live yesterday for just YouTube, and then I did a live on my school community. Oh my God, it really drains you.
I know.
It's very tiring.
Yeah, somebody said then because I said we got the Maple Bitcoin stream today at 2 p.m. and someone's like, Jory, you must be drained on Friday. I'm like, yeah, pretty much every Friday night at 8 p.m. I'm asleep on the couch. It's not that it's bad. Like, it's not that I ever dread Fridays. Like, I absolutely love doing this stuff, but it is a lot. It's a lot to just a lot of energy to exude.
Especially when somebody comes in the comments and starts talking about Caspa.
Exactly. Or Ledger
Or
had
S&P,
a fight
or
with somebody in the chat here today who's called me a what was it, VHF? A radical Bitcoin fundamentalist because I didn't like Ledger.
That's
RBF.
hilarious.
Isn't that some code on Bitcoin as well? RBF.
Replaced by fee.
Yeah, he called you replaced by fee.
Also resting bitch face is RBF, I learned.
Ooh.
Mm.
So anyways, I updated my Nostr profile to be the radical Bitcoin fundamentalist. So I owned it.
I love it.
Do you guys see any more comments here or questions that you should? I saw this one that I wanted to talk about from And. Said, how do you manage small UTXOs? What do you guys thought? What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any?
Consolidate them. That's how I manage them.
I think it would be smart to send them to Lightning first. You'd have to pay double the fees, but then if you have a bunch of small UTXOs and they're all from different exchanges, they're all from different people, the issue is that whoever paid you with those UTXOs, they're going to know how much Bitcoin you have in total if you consolidate all of them at once. Right? And if you have a bunch of small UTXOs, that means that either you received a bunch of small payments, you got a bunch of small amounts from your exchanges, and that just gives your exchange information about you that you might not want to know. So you have to, number one, you have to keep your KYC versus non-KYC separate. And then number two, if you're getting Bitcoin from different exchanges, I would say keep that separate. Maybe label all of your UTXOs. But I would say, again, move them to Lightning, move them to Liquid. From what I know, they seem pretty private. What do you guys think?
Yeah, if you so if you bought a bunch of small UTXOs, which I've done myself before, from an exchange and sent it to my cold wallet, they could always trace. They know that you have that Bitcoin, or they know that you bought that Bitcoin. So the only way to really get rid of them knowing that is to actually send it back to the exchange, convert it for fiat, and then buy new Bitcoin or buy non-KYC Bitcoin. But if you actually swap it through Lightning or Liquid, I'm pretty sure it actually breaks the chain there, so they could see that you still own it or that you bought it originally, but they can't see what you did forward. What I would say to And is, like, it really depends on, I would say, two things: what you consider to be a small UTXO, and also your age. Because if you're like 20, 30, 40 years old, if you just let those UTXOs sit there for a couple decades, you're actually going to be able to spend them. So I wouldn't panic necessarily. I would kind of just leave it, unless it's like, 1,000 sats, then maybe you might want to consolidate. But if you think like 50,000 sats is a small one, just play this thing out 2 decades and see how much you can buy with 50,000 sats. And it might be much less of a concern at that point. I wouldn't waste any sats consolidating them, depending on what size they are and how old you are. But that's just my my take on it.
Yeah, and if you are to combine them, if you do decide that you want to combine them, just wait for a low fee environment, or set a low fee and just allow it to wait. I mean, it doesn't have to cost you that much to do it either.
Hey, here's a question: if you wanted to, like, you can actually set a transaction fee to be sub 1 sat per VByte now. But do you guys know? Yeah, as Spy says here. Do you guys know how to do that though? Because I'm pretty sure, unless I'm missing like the newest version of Sparrow, I can't set my fee lower than 1 sat per VByte right now.
Yeah, Sparrow doesn't have that option built in. It depends on the wallet to allow that or not. So
do you know of any wallets that actually allow that?
Yeah, it's either Blue or Moon. I can't remember. It's one of those two does.
Moon.
I think, and then there's a few other ones, but yeah, I don't know too much about it.
I like this one.
Matt said put it as -1 and they'll pay you. Genius.
They pay you.
I love it.
I love that too. It's like
That's
the two-way petting zoo. You pet the animals, they pet you back. Naeem says, what about holding Bitcoin if you have a small business for Q retirement plan, take out dividends later when it compounds? Thoughts? Yeah, absolutely. I think that if it's, yeah, that's what Maple Bitcoin's doing.
Yep.
We hold all of our reserves in Bitcoin, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, what we do with it in the future. But we really have no plans on spending it. But yeah, as a small business owner, like kind of what I've done with our golf business is that I just take like line by line, I'll look at what we sold and I'll figure out what it cost us to make that. And then I'll take the profits and put about 50% of that into Bitcoin. And we've been doing that for a while, and it's been obviously a pretty successful strategy so far. So you don't have to have you don't have to be a public company or have like a bunch of shareholders or stakeholders to do it. Just take whatever you make, figure out the profits and just buy some Bitcoin with it.
And it's possible also you could just stack and then borrow against it to extract fiat value for spending if you needed to.
Yeah, great point.
It's a possibility if that still exists when you're ready for retirement, if fiat still exists at that point.
Great point. Boys, we're 5 minutes away from happy hour here.
Oh, wow. Holy smokes. That went quick.
Yeah. We should share the, in case anybody wants to join, we usually have a couple people join every week. The cool thing about the school community is that you can join for 7 days, free trial. So you could join, you could come to the happy hour today. And then if you don't like what you see, you can always cancel it. So that's the link there. That's going to be starting in exactly 5 minutes from now. And it's pretty cool. We've had a lot of really good discussions in there. People can kind of give their fingers a rest and come on camera or not, but ask questions, a little more context. They've been awesome. So I think that it was funny last weekend, even on September long, it was like 30 degrees outside and we still had like 25 people in there talking about Bitcoin. So I expect here in the fall that there's going to be more and more people show up. There's going to be more people joining. So if you got some specific questions or concerns that you want to address, that's a perfect place to do it. And believe it or not, you could actually do it for free if you do it the right way. We don't encourage that, but it's possible. So we think that you join, you're going to like it and you'll stick around, but that's what's happening in 5 minutes from now. So pretty simple, school.com/Maple Bitcoin. Do you guys have anything you want to, words of advice, words of wisdom before we wrap things up today?
I could answer this question. Bitcoin. Oh, sorry. Stepped on that.
I was just going to say, wise words, buy Bitcoin.
You know, as we were watching that video, when the guy said the same thing, he's like, do you have any piece of advice for people? I thought he was I was waiting for him to say, buy Bitcoin there. But I think he said, hopefully you're heavily invested in Bitcoin. Same idea.
Yeah.
Just more words.
It's not financial advice, but it is.
Not financial advice. Yeah, Todd, we are not American. We're all actually 3 Canadians. We're all in different parts of Canada.
Hey, George, you came up with Maple Bitcoin. If we were Americans, what would you have called it? Would it be like Eagle Bitcoin or something?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool. Eagle Bitcoin?
Eagle Bitcoin. That's pretty sick.
I like that.
I like that too. We could have had a badass logo. We're kind
Patriot
of like
Patriot Bitcoin. That's good too, man.
Eagle Bitcoin. Yeah, I actually like Eagle too because the only athlete that I like now, Saquon Barkley, plays for the Eagles. And he's a Bitcoiner. He took his salary in Bitcoin a couple years ago and turned out to be a pretty smart dude.
That seems like a name you would come up with. Eagle Bitcoin.
Eagle Bitcoin. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, we want to show our Canadian roots and it worked. Obviously, if Todd thinks that we're all American, then it did its job. It served its purpose. So I do want to actually end on this because, hold on, where is this? I got to find this because one of our Maple Bitcoin School community members and a person who bought one of our Maple Bitcoin hoodies when they were still for sale. We should maybe offer a second round of those things now that it's actually cold because we sold them in the summertime. Wasn't a great time to sell. But this is a picture of his pup, Bella, wearing the Maple Bitcoin hoodie. I don't know how he did that.
That's awesome.
It might be Photoshop, but yeah, we got these Maple Bitcoin hoodies. I wear mine a lot, and it's fall time, so I definitely got to get your guys' shipped off. I'm actually heading to the post office today, so if you remember, I'll send your guys' today. Nice. But there's Bella. So I don't know what to tell you. If you want one of those hoodies, I guess you can find a way to get a hold of us. We sold a bunch of them in May time when it was summer, so I'm guessing if we actually put these for sale again, they'd sell a lot of them because they are great hoodies. So big shout out to Cedar Sats and his beautiful dog Bella for rocking the Maple Bitcoin hoodie there.
I heard there's a secondary market for them now. They're selling for like $1,000 each.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Outperformed Bitcoin.
I mean, if you do want, I mean, we showed it. So if you do want to get yourself a Maple Bitcoin hoodie, we probably had 20, 30 people buy them the first time around in May. So I'm guessing there's a market for it, especially after that beautiful promotion from Bella. So you can shoot us an email there, maplebitcoin@proton.me. Just say, I want a hoodie. We'll get back to you with the size and we'll make it work. Unless there's like 100, then we'll have to figure out something else. But anyways, boys, let's wrap her.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, we'll see everybody on the Maple Bitcoin stream, and thanks everyone for tuning into this.
Yes. Enjoy the weekend for the Maple Bitcoin School community. We're pumped for it. Let's have another good show today. And I still got lots of beer left. So I was talking. That means I'm talking too much. Rajat, you got to feel better by next week so I can take a little break myself.
I got you.
Anyways, thanks, fellas. Thanks, everybody, for the zaps, the support. We love you. And we'll be back here next week.
See everybody.